Are you ready to conquer the Arcane Rift of Pyrron with 10 challenge-filled floors, each guarded by a powerful boss? This zone promises epic battles and valuable loot for those brave enough to face the challenge. In this video, we will explore the mechanics of each boss in the Arcane Rift of Pyrron to ensure you are fully prepared for the upcoming fights. Special thanks to Antavious for allowing us to share this information. Remember, if you're feeling weak and don't have a resurrection item, it's best to wait just outside the fight and join when the boss's health drops to around 10 to 15%. Alternatively, you can use Mana Efflux to teleport back to the same floor. Resurrection quite expensive. Let's begin your journey to victory. Important. Each defeated boss, except the last boss, drops a key that you can use to unlock the door and access the next floor, as well as loot that corresponds to your level. Alternatively, you can pass through a door already opened by another player. The key disappears after a while, so no need to worry about inventory space. Boss 1. Ythal. The AoE Stun Master. Mechanics. The boss hits with a nasty AoE, area of effect, stun effect around him, which he gives a warning for by showing a red circle, making it easy to avoid. He spawns adds, additional enemies, in cages hanging on the left and right sides of the room, which heal him. At 50% health, he spawns immortal orbs around the room that emit an AoE effect, turning all healing received into damage. If the fight goes on too long, the boss drops the tank's threat, aggro, and targets other players. Safety advice. Simply keep your distance from both the boss and the orbs. Healers need to be careful about healing players near the orbs. It's best to have 2 tanks in case the boss drops the main tank's threat, but if there's only one, avoid panicking and running into an orb. This gives healers time to keep you alive until the tank can regain control. Optimum strategy. At the start, focus on killing the healers, but when the boss reaches 50% health, everyone needs to stop killing the healers, and the tank needs to carefully position the boss near an orb while staying just out of its range. This is tricky, but if done correctly, is the fastest way to take the boss down. Boss 2. Nishani. The Bomb Thrower. Mechanics. The deal with this boss is he throws bombs that explode into green pools of fire and summons various additional enemies, adds. When the add count gets too low, less than 3, or too high, more than 6, he gets a buff that makes him hit harder. In addition, he seems to sometimes be immune to the normal rules of threat generation and can instead pick targets at random. Safety advice. Move away from green flames as soon as possible and try to control adds to avoid high risk from them. Optimum strategy. The boss needs to die as soon as possible, ASAP. Frankly, I recommend killing adds only if they seem to be overwhelming individual players. Boss 3. Ayekt, the Tornado Summoner. Mechanics. The boss has a few area of effect, AoE moves you can't avoid and summons tornadoes you can. One of the moves you can't avoid puts a debuff on players, lowering their magic resistance but increasing their attack power. You can use AoE that looks like bubbles to remove this debuff. Safety advice. Avoid the tornadoes and use the bubbles to remove the debuff. Optimum strategy. Avoid the bubbles and keep the debuff for the damage bonus. Boss 4. Biyuru the Thrasher Commander. Mechanics. While active, the boss summons Thrasher additional enemies, adds, which pound the area with an area of effect, AoE attack. Getting hit by these pounds stacks a debuff, and when it reaches 5 stacks, you receive a long-duration stun. At 75% and 25% health, the boss becomes inactive and immune. It spawns 2 Craggies that need to die before the boss reactivates and becomes vulnerable again. These Craggies have a powerful blasting effect and periodically use a protective ability that converts damage done to them into healing. Also, Falling Rock AoE can stun people while in these craggy phases. Safety advice. Avoid the Thrasher area of effect, AoE attacks. If you get hit 5 times, the crowd control CC effect will keep you pinned down, leading to getting hit another 5 times, and you'll basically be stuck for good. Just make sure you keep moving. During craggy phases, avoid the falling rocks. Using Liberty Dram helps a bit. Also, be aware of how many people are hitting a craggy if you are close. The more they get hit, the more the blasting will hurt. Take breaks and avoid close range when possible. Optimum strategy. While the boss is up, you should focus all efforts on him, as the longer he is up, the more ads he will spawn. When he is down, you can clear the ads, but this will slow you down. While killing Craggies, be mindful of damage over time, DOT effects, and how long until the Craggy goes into defensive mode to avoid lingering healing. While Craggies are defending, try to see when other ones are up and switch between them to avoid wasting damage per second, DPS. Boss 5. Ch'ithel. The NPC Protector. Mechanics. On one side are 4 non-player characters, NPCs, and on the other, ads spawn. If the ads reach the NPCs, they kill them, and all players receive a debuff of minus 20% combat speed. Killing ads applies Chilled Blood, an effect that lowers maximum health by 10% on all players. Players also glow blue for a while, then an ice bomb explodes and applies crowd control, CC, to all players near the blue glowing one. Safety advice. If you glow blue, move away from others, especially the healers and tanks. Healers need to remove chilled blood from players, particularly the tank, frequently. Optimum strategy. Because each NPC effectively saves you from losing 20% of your damage per second, DPS, you can justify committing up to that value to protect them, 4 by 20%, 80%. However, if that amount starts to become insufficient, it's best for everyone to focus on the boss and accept the slowdown. A good rule of thumb is that if one NPC dies, abandon the rest and just go for the boss. If you don't have someone who can heal chilled blood, then don't kill ads at all. You are more likely to achieve a slow win than if you do kill them and end up wiped. Boss 6. Lysocia. The Filth Master. Mechanics. The boss leaves pools of green filth on the floor that heal it and hurt players. Ads around the room shoot linear projectiles at players. At 75% and 25% health, the boss stops and summons wandering acid clouds and skitter mobs that damage all players by 50% of their maximum health upon death. Safety advice. Avoid the floor filth and the acid rain, as both linger near the boss. Don't kill the skitters and avoid using Area of Effect, AoE, and multi-target abilities. Optimum strategy. The tank needs to move the boss off his filth spots as fast as possible to avoid the boss from benefiting from the healing. Kiting around the room during these phases is essential. Boss 7. Meridar. The Clone Crafter. Mechanics. The boss disables players and creates clones of them. There are area effects to avoid. When the boss reaches 20% health, all clones die, and the area effect covers the whole room. There are 5 pads in the room that cycle a sequence, each glowing once before repeating the pattern. Each encounter, the pattern is different. On the glowing pads, players receive a buff to bypass enemy armor and resistances, while enemies receive a debuff that makes them take more damage. Safety advice. Avoid the Air of Effect, AoE effects, and kill all clones as soon as possible, ASAP, especially the tank and healers. At 20% stay close to the healers. Optimum strategy. The tank needs to watch and memorize the sequence in which the platforms glow and take the boss to each one. All players need to follow and take advantage of the buff as well as the boss's debuff. Boss 8. Chamander, the Demon Summoner. Mechanics. The boss summons 2 big demons that protect it at 85%, 50%, and 25% health. They need to be killed each time to continue the fight. At 50%, these demons put fire area effects under players, and at 25%, the 2 demons are linked. When their health differs by 5%, they fully heal. Fell Hounds do not deal damage but apply a debuff that lowers critical hit rate by 65% for 15 seconds. Safety advice. After 50% health, stay off the fires and watch out for others as well. Optimum strategy. Most of the fight is straightforward. Avoid the Fell Hounds. After the 50% health demons die, the tank should move the boss halfway to a door. Getting too close can cause Fell Hounds to trap players in the wall and bug the boss, to ensure it doesn't interfere with the last stage. At 25% health, players need to act cautiously, as rapid damage can obscure HP changes due to lag. It's important to closely monitor both mini-bosses. HP difference must be not more as 5% if one starts to fall behind. Attack it until its health is 1% lower than the other, then reassess and adjust as needed. Avoid focusing solely on one boss, even when teammates call out information, as this can be subjective and lag-dependent. Players share the boss's HP information in local chat so everyone can better track the situation. This stage is a critical test of team coordination. All players, including melee and ranged, should use only auto attacks to minimize damage output and better control the situation. Ranged players should position themselves centrally to keep an eye on both bosses. By carefully managing their projectiles, the team can effectively grind down both mini-bosses while maintaining balance and control throughout the fight. Boss 9. Kirkora, the Mini-Stun Master. Mechanics. There are many mini-stuns here in the form of area effects and add attacks. Adds are colored blue and red. The boss randomly applies debuffs to players that are also red and blue. If you have a red debuff, you can kill blue adds, and vice versa. If you don't have the correct debuff, the mobs fully heal instead. After killing adds, the boss receives an increased damage debuff. Safety advice. The only thing I recommend here is using Liberty Dram, which can help but isn't essential. Optimum strategy. If you have a debuff, kill adds of the opposite color before hitting the boss. I don't recommend attacking mobs when I have both debuffs, as there's a 50/50th chance they will fully heal. Boss 10. Undadar, the Spirit Summoner. Mechanics. The boss has a buff that has 20 charges and lowers all damage against it by 25%. It's meant to be removed by killing spirits near the boss, but this seems to be bugged and only sometimes works. In the other phase, the boss summons two types of plants, Mana Sappers and Cursed Sappers. If a Mana Sapper is left alive, it buffs the boss with a damage reflection buff and heals the boss by 2%. If a Cursed Sapper is killed, all players' mana costs increase for a little while by 20%, and the boss heals 2%. The boss teleports around the room. Safety advice. The only thing to remember here is not to fail on the Mana Sappers to avoid the damage reflection. Otherwise, just stay away from the boss and the spirits. Optimum strategy. The important thing is to take care of the sappers and avoid using area of effect, AoE, and multi-target moves during these phases to not kill cursed sappers. During the spirit stages, it's best to hit the spirits between moves, even though they don't always work. The upside of killing them is quite good now and worth trying. Good luck in your Arcane Rift battles, and remember, teamwork and coordination are the keys to victory. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content. Share your own strategies and experiences in the comments below. Let's help each other conquer the challenges of the Arcane Rift together. I almost forgot one important thing. This content is designed for players level 75 and above.